Hey everybody, it's Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker, and I'm back with a topic I love, tenancy in Ontario. I had a buddy of mine flip me this video on Instagram, and it's about these two girls that rent a place downtown Toronto, and they are actually in a building that's not under rent control. So that means that landlord can actually increase that rent to whatever they want with a 90-day notice. I want to share this clip with you guys and give you my notes on what I think about all of this at the same time.
Landlord increased our rent by $7,000 per month.
Okay, so the landlord has increased their rent by $7,000 a month. So they were paying $2,500 and they increased it by $7,000. Sounds crazy, right?
Sisters Yumna and Khadija Farouk have lived in a midtown Toronto building for the past 3 years. Their rent was $2,500 per month. The landlord raised the rent to $3,500 a month, and when they had concerns and wanted to change their lease, the landlord raised the rent again to $9,500 per month.
So listen to that. So the rent was $2,500 a month. They've been in that building for 3 years. I'm not sure if there was a rent increase before that or not. I don't know the exact location of this place, okay? But from $2,500 to $3,500, that's what the landlord actually raised the rent to. And in my opinion, I'm not saying it was whatever, but it doesn't sound like that rent was outrageous to charge for that, okay? For that type of a unit, $3,500. So then they had concerns and they went back to the landlord and said, we don't like that you just raised it $1,000. So the landlord comes back and changes the rent to $9,500. It's just me speculating at this point, guys. But what happened? It doesn't have a rent control unit. So what did he do? He said, wow, these people are going to end up to being trouble for me and I don't think I want them here anymore. So he put up the price to a spot where they can't really afford it and they would pretty much have to leave or do a video like this.
We know our building is not rent controlled. So this was always something we were worried about, that if some.
So they knew that going in. Okay. So they were smart enough to know that buildings that are, or units that are occupied November 15, 2018 and later, they're not under rent control. So they knew that going in 3 years ago.
Something were to happen, that this could be an issue. And of course we can't pay $9,500 per month.
It's only $9,500 a month because they went back and didn't like the $3,500.
No way he can really be serious about giving us this notice. We were just very shocked.
The rent increase guideline for this year and next year is 2.5%, but the
2.5%. So if you have a house or a unit that you're renting out that was built prior to November 15, 2018 or occupied prior to that time, you have to follow the landlord tenant board guidelines, which is 2.5% this year and it's the same next year. And as we all know, if you've had a mortgage increase already or refinancing your place, your costs are going to be way higher than what that allowed increase is at this point right now.
guideline does not apply to buildings built after November 15th, 2018. Landlords with newer buildings can raise the rent by as much as they want.
This is egregious, horrible, and unfortunately, thanks to the current government, legal.
Tenant advocate Jordy Dent says without rent controls, rents in some buildings are being hiked to astronomical levels.
The simplest solution is to bring back rent control on all units.
So the simplest solution, according to this person, is to bring back rent controls. I have a serious problem with this, okay? The way that the landlord tenancy is situated right now in Ontario, literally the landlord has no rights. I get it that I'm going to get a ton of comments here again about landlords are ripping everybody off and this and that, whatever. I'm a landlord. I don't think I rip off my people. I think any of my tenants out there that are watching this video could probably vouch for that and say that I am a very good tenant or a landlord to them and I'm very reasonable and respectful with them as well. But the thing is that to bring back having no rights and then having rent control on all of this stuff, we completely lose on our net profit, not even profit right now. There's properties out there that I have that I'm funding at least $900 a month. So literally after I collect the rent, I'm actually paying more money for you to actually live in the unit at this point right now. So I think as a landlord, we have to have something over here at the same time.
Queen's Park, both the NDP and Liberal parties are calling on the Ontario government to bring back rent controls.
To make rent more affordable and really help renters get by, Ontario needs to bring in strong rent control again. We had strong rent control in the 90s, and it is time to return it.
We do have to have some form of rent control on all rental property.
I like how he said it. Everyone else is saying that, hey, we need to have this, we need to have this. This guy comes out and says, we have to have some form of, very politically correct.
The Farouk sisters now have to move out and find another place to stay, and they worry they'll also have to pay more for rent.
The rental market is just so crazy right now, and
of course they're worried they're going to have to pay more for rent. It's just the situation that we are in right now. I think I know why that landlord actually came back and increased it so much. There must have been some underlying issues. You know, when we watch videos like this, we're really getting one side of the story. I'm not vouching for either side, but I have to believe from my experience with this that there's got to be some underlying issues over here. And that's why that landlord basically said, hey, I'm going to raise up the rent to this much so I can force these people to basically get out. I mean, it's legal. I'm not condoning it, but I mean, that is his choice or his or her choice if they want to do something like that. The other thing I have a problem with is these people know that if they have to move anywhere else right now, the rents are going to be higher than where they are at right now. So how does that make sense that you want to stay in a unit and continue to pay the same amount of rent or whatnot, and you know that if you go somewhere else, you're going to have to pay more? Guys, doesn't this operate on supply and demand almost kind of thing? Like if I have a bunch of rental units and I'm asking $5,000 a month for them, and if they're not being filled, then of course I'm going to have to start to lower my price. But if I have a price out there of $3,500 or $4,500 and these units are getting filled, what is the point of me actually having to lower down these rents? Do you know what I mean? So it all operates on this supply and demand and what someone is actually willing to pay for these units at the same time. Maybe the solution over here is that maybe they're in an area that's gone so much higher on rent that maybe they don't fit into that area anymore, and maybe they have to be looking somewhere else at the same time. The other concern, guys, I have with this is this, with the rent control that they're asking to be implemented on these buildings that are not under rent control, or these houses also, is this. The government actually needs individuals like myself to own these houses to provide this housing for other people to live in. Like that is a real topic. CMHC, I don't believe a word that they say, okay? Whatever CMHC does, for the most part, I want to do the opposite of what they're saying, okay? But they're basically saying that we need 3.5 million units by 2030 just to basically meet our supply need for housing, okay? So now, if you're going to basically go and implement all of these stricter rules on landlords, honestly, I have less and less incentive to want to hold these properties and feed it out of my own pocket at this point. Why would I take my properties and want to spend thousands of dollars a month on servicing these properties so other people can live there, and then I'm basically handcuffed and I can't do anything about it? So there is two sides of this coin over here. I'm not saying what that landlord did by raising the rent so much was correct. I truly believe that there was an underlying issue, and at the same time that I think we need to advocate and have more rights for landlords as well. And I'm not saying that landlords should have all the rights. I think that there should be some kind of a balance over here, because there are a lot of people out there that I will call professional tenants, okay? And we interview everybody, and when we find out that you're a professional tenant and you're going to be picky about X, Y, and Z, this is our time as a landlord to do our due diligence up front and make sure that we're going to be able to have a good relationship with the person that's going to come into the unit as well. So these are my thoughts on this video. I don't think rent control is necessary. Does the playing field need to be leveled on both sides? Absolutely, I agree. Do I think investing in real estate is a bad idea? At this point right now, I would say no. I think it's a good idea, but I would say it's going to be very critical for you guys to be able to screen your tenants correctly so you don't end up in an issue like this. If you guys have any questions about this, I may be able to answer them and help you out with it. Otherwise, I have some great lawyers, paralegals that I work with that kind of work around this realm. I'd be more than happy to kind of refer you guys off to them. Until next time, guys, remember one thing: get Kabani, get sold.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.